You're listening to Underestimated, the podcast that helps overwhelmed small business owners turn their size into their unfair advantage so they can grow without burning out. Now here's your host, Shawna Suckow.
Are you a small business owner who feels like the more your revenue grows, the more your stress level grows? I have a fabulous guest today who is a friend of mine, and she is here to share all of her, not all, she's going to save some of her AI secrets about how you can reduce your stress level because running a business is hard enough. So I am super excited to introduce Alison Simmons. This is the second time she's been gracious enough to be on my podcast. We found out after we spent this whole great time together that nothing, it was all garbled. And so we're having a do-over, but it's been probably 2 months. And so
Yeah.
everything's changed again, or still.
Oh, by sure. It absolutely has.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been so quaint to look back at what we talked about then. Too bad we can't hear it. So I'm just going to read a little introduction so I don't miss anything. So my friend Alison is an AI-powered business strategist and systems builder who helps established business owners scale in a way that doesn't wreck their time or their team or their sanity. She is a bona fide math and physics geek who traded astrophysics for entrepreneurship, and she runs almost exclusively on coffee and conviction and fun memes. You're the queen of fun memes.
Gifts. Yeah, my love language.
Yes, gifts. And I want to ask you what's in your cup, but I want to finish those. Alison blends clear strategy with real world implementation. So growth feels controlled instead of chaotic. And her philosophy is simple. You already heard me say it. Revenue should increase your options, not your stress level. So welcome, Alison. What's in your cup?
Thank you. So, oh my gosh, you built up all this caffeine. Believe it or not, I don't have a coffee cup right now. I drank it all. So I'm very proud to say that I have a water bottle right now.
I am proud of you.
Matches my shirt. Well, I feel like I get extra credit for that.
You do, and your glasses. So if you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, you're missing out because she looks fabulous. And there is she is my most caffeinated friend, just so you know why I asked her that.
Yes.
She's even got a bunch of coffee signs in her background. So I'm going to start with a fun fact, Alison.
Yeah.
So you survived in an RV full time with your husband and 3 of your 5 kids for 2.5 years, just right around COVID. Adventuring, you were growing your business at the time. You were also homeschooling, and you didn't lose your mind. Discuss.
So it wasn't actually COVID. It was after COVID. So here, long story short, my husband ran his own business for 10 years, and I was, a stay-at-home mom raising babies, always had a side hustle. And when kid number 5 went into kindergarten, I was like, babe, I would really like people to pay me for all of these skills that I've taught myself for the last 15 years, namely websites and podcasts and social media management, all the things. And he was like, as long as it's something that you can still be at home so that when kids get off the school bus or a kid gets sick, because he ran his own business, he didn't have the flexibility. So I became an online business manager, or AKA integrator for people who know EOS and traction. And so I have this job, and it was going to pay me really well. And so he comes home from work early one day, and I was like, why is he walking up the driveway at 1 p.m.? This is not good. He comes in, he sits down at my desk, and he goes, what if I got out of my business starting tomorrow? We sold everything we owned, got rid of the house, bought an RV, and started traveling across the country and headed west towards my parents who live in Northern California. And we had been talking, mind you, for like 3 years about eventually moving closer to his family because had always been on the East Coast. And I had been praying that he would get out of his business for at least 4 years at that point. So I was like, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it. I got this. I'm online.
Yes.
Let's do the thing. So that was
How long did it take you?
It was May of 2022. We pulled out of our driveway on November 17th. So what is that? June, July, August, September, October, 5 months later.
Wow.
Sold everything. So our truck, our RV, and our 3 kids, and off we go. And we just started traveling. We went along the southern border of the United States, and then we traveled all the way up the western border and got to Northern California. And we would adventure on the weekends. We'd adventure. Eventually, I homeschooled for the first year, but I'm an excellent teacher of other people's kids. not of my own. So we agreed that it was best to park the RV and put the kids in school. And then, like I said, we would go on road trips, weekend trips, that kind of thing. But we lived in the RV for the whole time. But yeah, we did eventually park it because I was like, I can't homeschool anymore. I just can't. I'm just not good at it. Nobody's happy.
So it was actually, speaking of being on the road, it was on a road trip that kind of inspired you to
Yeah.
do what you decided to do. So can you talk about what happened on
Yeah.
that road trip and what it led
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
to do?
So we were literally a year and a half into RV life when I started getting like, babe, I'm really excited to not be in the RV anymore. Like we could get a house again, right? So he plans out, gosh, I'm married to the most amazing travel planner ever. He plans out this perfect 16-day road trip. By the way, literally had Dutch Bros coffee stops planned out the whole drive, right? Over 16
That's
days.
my favorite, and we don't have it here in Minnesota. I'm so sad.
Oh,
Dutch
so good
Brothers, if
though.
you're listening, come to Minnesota.
Yeah, we love you, Dutch Bros. But anyway, so he plans out this road trip. And I had 4 clients at the time who I was doing online business management for. And I prepped them. I was like, I'm going on a road trip. Here are your Trello boards. Here are your task lists. Here are the rules. This is when I'll reply. This is what everyone knew the plan going in. I go on this road trip. We are not 3 days in. And 2 of my clients basically shut down their businesses. They did nothing while I was gone. I'm like, you were all successful business owners before me. What happened? But I had created monsters. They were so dependent on Alison for everything that when I was gone, they were like, oh, mom's not home. So we're kids and we don't have to do our chores. The other 2 were in my inbox, in my text, in my Slack, nonstop. I had the breaking moment. So like, yes, I'm doing work at midnight. Kids are sleeping. I'm like the glow of the laptop is lighting up my face at midnight. I'm cranky. I miss breakfast because I'm on a meeting, whatever. And the breaking point was one of my newest clients hired a social media manager after I left for my road trip. So 24 hours later, she hires a new team member and then sends me a message saying, I need you to onboard said team member. And I was like, I am on vacation. We had this conversation. And she's like, that's okay. You can do it from your phone, can't you? And like an idiot, I said yes.
That's what we do.
So here I am in the truck. My husband is driving us from one location to the next. Everyone has to be completely silent because mom's on a professional call on her phone doing this onboarding of the social media manager. And I had a breakdown and I was like, I can't do this. Like my family, the whole point of this adventure is more family time and I am missing it.
Yeah.
Because I'm working. And so I got back from that trip and I was like, AI was not an option. It was a survival tactic at that point. And that's when I went full on headfirst into how can AI actually help me not just run my business, but run my clients' businesses. So no more, catchy Instagram captions, no more brainstorming buddy. Heck no. Full on strategic thought partner, manage the business, do the tasks for me so that I don't have to do them. And then from there, I started that was September. By November, I'm like on coffee chats and I'm like, oh my gosh, look what I did on AI. Oh my gosh, why don't you just ask ChatGPT to do this for you? Why don't you and people are going, AI can do that? And I was like, oh friend. So I did a free webinar, shared it with people. They freaked out. That was November of 2024. And I realized that this was the direction my business was going to head because nobody was teaching solopreneurs how to use AI to scale their business. Not really, not in the way that I was. And it changed everything. It's my whole business model. I am no longer an online business manager. I shut that whole arm of my business down. I only teach people how to do it themselves now using AI.
That is fantastic. And I love that now you are not tied to the whims of other business owners who used to determine your schedule.
Yeah.
And now you can set your own, which is so much of the reason why so many of us became entrepreneurs in the first place. We wanted to do things our way on our schedule.
I will say this because I'm just being transparent. I love what I do so much that I have to admit, if I overwork now, it's because I don't want to stop. No one is
Same.
telling me you have to work.
Mhm.
I'm the one who goes back to my computer out of choice. And so I'm not going to lie, that's caused some problems, but it's just like, I just love it. I love what I do. So I still probably work more than I should, just being, transparent here. But
Yep.
it's not because anyone's making me. It's purely because I choose it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whole new
It's a
problem.
fantastic addiction and
Yeah.
one of the healthier ones that one could have. Aside, coffee, whatever. But we met while you were still in the RV, and we met on LinkedIn. I was just so captivated by the things that you were posting. And I think it was around that time that you started your newsletter, Caffeinated Conversations.
Caffeinated entrepreneur.
Caffeinated Entrepreneur, sorry. It is in my book too. I can't believe I forgot that, but I was so fascinated by the way that you talk and all of the knowledge that you share in that thing that I was like, this is like something that every small business owner should try to emulate with their expertise.
Mhm.
So you talked a little bit about an AI powered business. Can you
Mhm.
elaborate on kind of what that means
What's
to
up?
you?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So it's evolved even in the last
Yes.
couple of months, right?
Yeah.
So initially, in all of 2025, I was basically teaching people how to pick which AI tools actually made sense for their business because everybody has shiny object syndrome, right? And it's like, well, I use ChatGPT and Perplexity and Manus and Gemini. And I'm like, oh my gosh, pick one and learn how to use it really well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
But then I was like, I had an AI powered calendar management tool and I had an AI powered note taker. And so what I was doing is I was helping people build businesses using different AI tools. And then I taught them how to connect them to make a system, right? Because my whole thing is nothing is good enough unless you can do it from start to finish systematically. So that was all of 2025. Then on Black Friday 2025, I have a coffee chat that I almost canceled because I was in sweatpants and he was literally on his phone in Best Buy shopping Black Friday deals. And I almost canceled the call. Canceled the call, but we were both like, whatever, 20 minutes. Let's just chat. And he hears everything I'm doing for my clients. And he goes, oh, Alice, have you been in Notion? And I was like, I hate Notion. Notion is like, it's like walking into a warehouse the size of a football field, and you can literally custom build your dream home because everything you could possibly ever want is in that warehouse. But there's no blueprints, there's no contractor, there's no architect. You got to do it yourself. And he goes, oh, Allison, you haven't been on Notion lately because they brought AI to the table. Everything you are building for your clients or teaching your clients to build you can build in one spot inside Notion. And I went down a rabbit hole for 3 weeks, fell head over heels, moved my entire business into Notion, broke up with ChatGPT, 2 years, broke it off, moved into Notion. And now I'm teaching people how to build what I call an AI powered CEO dashboard, where for an online business owner, you don't have an office space, right? Notion becomes your office. And inside Notion, we build you an AI powered team. So you have a business manager and you have a personal assistant and you have the intern that sits in the corner and doesn't get to talk, but just takes notes, right? And then we have little contractors. Here's your copywriter contractor and your finance manager contractor, right? We build this whole AI powered team in one spot. And now it's blowing my mind. It's blowing my client's mind. I have found a way to help solopreneurs scale their business without growing a team first. Now they will need a team eventually, but they can
Right.
scale first.
Right. Let's back up a little bit. So for those not familiar with Notion,
Mhm.
how would you describe, I mean, you just described kind of
Yeah.
the football field, but what
Yeah.
is Notion?
So Notion is it's like the best of every world, which is also the problem. A lot of people want to use it for project management. So, right, like I was a Trello girl for 15 years, basic project management, right? And then the level up from Trello would be like Asana, right? And Asana incorporates your email. A level up from Asana would be ClickUp, right? And it's got, forms and all the things, right? Notion is like all of it but cooler because you can visually create whatever you want, where all those other forms, all those other softwares have their setup, and you're locked into visually seeing what they want you to see.
Yeah.
Which is why I love Trello. It was boards. I love boards. I hate ClickUp. I hate Asana. I hate lists. I hate, right? Notion, Shawna can have her lists. Alison can have her boards. Hope can have a visual gallery. John can have a calendar view. Like, it literally lets you customize the same information in a dozen different ways. And then it lets you just manipulate all the things. Like, it's visually, I think, the ideal platform for anybody who wants to build a business 100% custom the way that they think.
Nice. And how would brick and mortar businesses utilize it?
Yeah, so it's a back-end operating system, right? So inside of Notion on a dashboard, right, you're going to have the company's 90-day plan, where we're heading for the next 90 days. You're going to have their brand identity built in, their content plan for promotion and their campaigns built in, all of their operations, all of their systems. You know, if at brick and mortar, so I used to, back in the day when I was a barista, I was the manager of the restaurant, right? And at the end of the day, I had to close down the shop. So inside of Notion, you would create the entire step-by-step system that the person who's shutting down your shop for the day needs to follow. And you would have that up on the screen. And so now it's not up to Alison, the 22-year-old's whim, what paper she feels like filling out today. No. It's all listed. And here's a link to that paperwork. Well, nowadays, digital, right? Click the link, open the form, fill out the form. When you close down register number 1, check the box that you did it. Go to register number 2, fill out the form, right? And it like literally just takes everything and puts it in one spot. So now the owner can now open up and it says Alison closed out for the day. And it shows the owner everything that I did, all of the numbers that I calculated, and every box that I checked.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is buying the owner a lot of freedom.
Absolutely. The accountability into this is just baked in. You know, you're updating a status. The status update sends you a notification on your phone or in Slack or your email. You know, Shawna just completed a task. Go review it, or, you know, whatever. So it just takes out a lot of the micromanagement, because there's automations built in. And like I said, though, with the AI, so example, going back even to a brick and mortar, but for anybody, so if you have your finances, you're tracking your finances, business expenses, and revenue in Notion. Now you can have your AI business manager run a report at the end of the month. That's like, I need my financial health report. Here's what I want it to look like. And then it's like, here's your red flags. Here's where you overspent. Here's where you need to make sure your inventory is getting low. And you need to make sure, like, the AI would literally do all the things that you would pay a bookkeeper to do at the end of the month for you.
What other types of roles besides bookkeeping could they replace or expand into if they don't have anybody to do that yet?
Right. So the ones, like I said, I start everybody off with is like the business manager, the intern that records your meetings, and then what was the third? Oh, the personal assistant. The personal assistant reads your email, reads your calendar, reads your to-do list, and says, Shawna, here's your priority for the day. Here's all the meetings. Here's all the links. Here's how to prep for all your calls today. Here's what you missed in your inbox that needs your attention. And then here's what's on your to-do list that's your absolute top priority for the day. Don't miss this. You know, here's what was overdue from yesterday, et cetera, right? So that's like the 4 big ones that I start, or the 3. Then we start building contractors. So the one that everybody wants is the marketing specialist, right? I need a chief marketing officer, Alison. So we build it. And then we install your brand, your voice. So my market, his name is Reno. Like I said, I gave them all names. He chose his own name, by the way. I asked him what he wanted to be called. I don't know how he got Reno, but he picked Reno. Every week, Reno and I write my newsletter content. He is trained to ask me specific questions to draw out my story, my takeaways, my weekly challenge. He knows my voice, my personality. He writes my newsletter. So what might take me 3 hours if I were doing it takes me 30 minutes, because Reno knows what to do. He's just asking me what content I want put in there.
Right.
So,
and then he handles the layout and the inputting of all the info.
No, he just handles all the copy, right? He handles the copy, and then he and I will talk about what gifts I want or whatever. We'll load those, and I do pay a human to then distribute it. I do
Yes.
that part.
Yeah.
Yes.
I definitely want to circle back to what you still recommend that businesses use humans for.
Yeah.
But can you give us a case study of a particular industry, like help us get something in our minds of how of a hands-on use of this that you've helped a business through?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So, I mean, for the most part, I work with online service providers. I've only had two brick and mortar type or product people.
Yeah, yeah.
But I work with online business owners who are service providers. And perfect example, I have one of my very first clients. She's a website designer. So when we built out her Notion dashboard, it was important for her not just to have her own business in there, right? So she needed her brand colors and her voice, whatever, but she had different spaces for client projects. So
Nice.
now when Shawna wants a new website, we collect all of the data through, we can literally create a form and a portal page in Notion. Shawna, as the client, comes into my workspace, into my space that I created for her, and just gives me all of the information I need because I ask her what I need. She loads it all. Now it's in Notion. Now I can go to my messaging expert, my website copy expert, right? Who's an AI contractor that we've created. And I can say, okay, I want to start creating the homepage. Here's the framework for the homepage. I want you to pull from the client's signature story, from their voice, from right, pull from the information they provided us and help me start writing copy for this page. And then that has this conversation. And then she says, okay, now you've got options. I don't think she uses AI to create her websites, but I did over the weekend, right? I can then go to Claude Code, which is literally what I did yesterday, and I can give it all the copy for my homepage and say, here's my brand identity kit. So you have my fonts and my colors. Here's all my copy. Go build it. And Claude Code rebuilt my entire website. And then I just say to Claude Code, hey, I don't like the spacing there. Hey, I want to add these images there. And I upload images. Hey, and I literally talk to it as if I'm talking to a human. It builds the entire thing out, staging, gives me the HTML. I load it to WordPress, and I have an entire new website. Now, I don't think that my actual client does it that way because she's a website designer. She probably does more hands-on, but that's what I do.
And so what is the handoff like between the different stages of the AI, quote unquote contractors? How involved does the website designer have to be along that path until it's handed off to her?
1,000%, they are reviewing everything AI generates. So I never let AI send an email that I haven't read and approved, right? I never let AI post anything on social media that I haven't approved. I never use AI to write DMs and automatically send them, or to reply to comments, or to make comments. Like that, to me, I don't like. And I know people do it, but they don't do it.
No, it's gross.
Templates and automations for message. Yeah, I run a monthly webinar and I have 300 RSVPs. You can bet your butt I have an automation that's like, hey, thanks for RSVPing to my event. Here's your link to Zoom. Like, yeah, that's all automated, friends.
Yep.
But I would never go to Shawna's LinkedIn and have AI read her last post and write an AI generated comment because it screams AI.
It's so obvious. I hate it.
So to me, anything where I am interacting with a human directly needs to be a human interacting, right?
Yeah.
But anything that's like, go read my email, my calendar, my to-do list and tell me what's on my agenda for today.
Right.
Pass that off to AI in a heartbeat. What the heck do I need to pay a human for that? Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But I would never, when I edit my podcast, I like editing my podcast by hand. I don't use AI because there's things in the podcast. You're like, that was really funny. I want that to be a clip. Or like, oh my gosh, Bernie just said a bad word. Again, I need to edit that out.
Oh, Bernie.
G-rated podcast. Bernie is my co-host for my podcast, guys. So, and he likes to curse. And I'm like, nope. That out.
Bleep. Big one giant
so
bleep.
That answers the question per se. But I will say that nothing should ever go out that hasn't been reviewed by a human that is client facing. You know what I mean? I will say this though, like perfect example. Today I had a team call with my VA, and I was teaching her how to edit my podcast. The beauty of it is I recorded the whole thing in Notion. And at the end of the call, I said, hey, Notion AI, create an SOP for my VA based on what I taught her today. It writes out the entire thing for me. And now I give that to my real VA so she can go in and edit my podcast.
Nice. That's cool. Okay, so back to this example of the web designer.
Yeah.
Okay, so the client gets the intake form, and the client fills out the intake form. And from there, I assume that your client, the human, doesn't need to be involved, that then goes to the next tool for it to do something, and it keeps going until it needs to be human facing and or needs her involvement. So that handoff can be tied together using AI. Like when this happens, it triggers this, kind of like how if this, then that, for those who are familiar.
Exactly. It's one of those things, an updated status, right? So the person comes in with their intake form. As soon as it comes in, I could have AI automatically set up a project, and it could organize all the stuff. And then it could even flag what's missing. And we could, flag, these are the things missing. And so then my client can go back and review it and be like, quick shoot back an email saying, hey, I noticed that I got this, this, and this. I'm still missing these 2 pieces. I need those within the next 48 hours so that we stay on track, like all of that, right?
Yeah.
And so now all that information comes in, AI immediately creates a project, and it can put so this is what I love about Notion, right? You can have a project template for a website build. And if that website build is due in 4 weeks, that project will automatically generate all of the tasks, assign appropriate due dates based on the project's deadline and the scope of the project. If I'm creating just a homepage versus a full 5-page website, right? Like all of that, AI can plan that whole process out, put due dates on everything, and then it sits in a project. And then my client can go in and say, okay, I want these, I approve all of this, go put it on my to-do list. And now everything gets moved to her to-do list. And so every day when she opens up her today's to-do list, she sees which clients she's working on, which projects need to have stuff that are due on this, like, go review this, go send this email, blah, 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 right? So, it can do all of that for her. And then she just has to execute the actual task.
Right. So let's talk about guardrails. So one of the things that you said is you would never let AI send anything out on your behalf or post on your behalf or whatnot, or have a conversation on your behalf. Let's talk about the situations where people aren't comfortable giving their inbox access to AI, or their calendar access, and turning that over to AI. What do you tell them?
I'm really cavalier about this. I'm just going to be honest. The fact of the matter is, and unless you are dealing with client confidentiality in terms of finances or legal, right? Or maybe health information, right? Because those things, most softwares are encrypted and locked in, right? And I had a client who was she was a business financial officer coach for people that worked for a specific advisory firm. They had their own AI that ChatGPT built for them. So everything I taught her, she had to translate then for them inside of their encrypted AI, right?
Right.
But for the average business owner, friend, your data is so exposed already. Let's just be real.
Right.
Google has access to my entire world. In fact, super funny, one of our mutual contacts that we know, she wanted to send me, I don't have my coffee cup. She had a just not bossy, just aggressively helpful sticker that she found, and she wanted to mail it to me as a surprise. So she just Googled my name and my address came up. I don't even own this home. I'm just renting.
Yeah.
Had my address and emailed to me. And I'm like,
nothing's private.
Nothing. Right. And so I know this sounds really horrible, but I'm like, I trust Claude to not give away my inbox. I pay for Claude. It's illegal for it to give my information away. I'm just going to trust that they're going to do what they're supposed to do. Goodness knows I've given more information to probably less secure apps.
Yes. Haven't we all? And you have to decide, like each business owner has to decide for themselves, do the benefits outweigh the risk? Because as you
Mm,
said, the risk is already, it's
there.
already there. And
Yeah.
we've already exposed our information. So unless you're an inventor or what you have is totally proprietary or should remain private, like the instances that you shared,
Hmm.
I'm also totally cavalier. I
Yeah.
think it has benefited my business so much
Hmm.
to use AI that I am willing to trade off a little privacy. It's
Hmm.
just like Apple. If you get a new iPhone, or if you get a new Samsung, you are giving them access to
Absolutely.
all of your information that goes through that phone
Absolutely.
and your email and
Exactly.
your, yeah. So
Yeah. So
it's
Big Brother already has what he needs to take you down. I'm just not worrying about it.
exactly, if they're gonna take me down, they're gonna take me down, whether or not I let my AI,
Right. And I'm not
access my
important enough to
calendar.
take down. I'm just going to be
Right.
real. Like I guess that's my other thing is like, I think that people, they get really worried. I'm like, are you doing something illegal? What are you
Yeah.
doing that you don't want anyone to know about? Because that's my next question. What you got
Yes.
to hide?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Otherwise, who
Exactly.
cares if you could read my inbox? I'm not doing anything special in there. So
So, do you offer the done for you services where you will go in and build an AI powered business for somebody
nope.
in Notion?
Nope. I only do done with you. That is part of my shtick. Because number one, Notion, but AI moves too fast. For me to teach or for me to build something for someone, it will be out of date in 3 months, guaranteed.
Yeah.
That was part of what I learned from ChatGPT. I built all these GPTs, and then when they updated and got rid of their 4.0 model, all of my GPTs crashed because they were
Oh,
based on that model. And I was like panicking to rebuild everything. And I was like, well, this sucks. And so my thing is, I don't do for, I teach how. I would rather teach Shawna how to build an AI agent by building one together so that the one we build together breaks, you can fix it. Ironically, I have people who keep coming back and re signing up to stay in my world, even though I am teaching them how, because they know that number one, AI keeps updating and changing, and they would rather I be the one that figures it out and teaches them than they figure it out. So there's a FOMO factor. Alison solves the FOMO factor. But number two, because I'm just going to call it, I'm a really good teacher. And
yeah.
so they're like, if I have a question, I can go to you and you're going to explain it in a way that I can understand. Where a YouTube video, I mean, you could watch Notion YouTube videos and get free templates from their marketplace and build everything. It's how I did it. I DIY'd the whole thing in 3
Mhm.
weeks. But there are people that aren't as savvy as me. They're not system minded like me. And so they could never pull that off. They don't have to. I teach them
Yeah.
how. I spoon
And
feed
that
it.
way, if something goes wrong, they are more likely to be able to fix it because they were there
Exactly.
while it was being built as well. So you're
Yeah,
not at the mercy of waiting for something that's critical to your business to be fixed.
exactly. And a lot of people who do AI are way smarter than me, but they also talk above people's heads. So you go to an AI webinar or you watch a video and you feel dumber than when you started because you're like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I am the opposite. I take that complex topic, I break it down into super simple steps. And even if you still don't know how, you understand why it should work. And then I'm like, okay, here's how we go half, right? But I'm just naturally prone to be like, no, that's complicated. The way he's telling you to do it is complicated. I can show you how to do it so much easier. Let me just help you.
Yes. Yeah, because we got into our businesses not to be stuck in the back end of running the business.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
don't want complex. We need, okay, get this into my head so I understand it. I can make it work as quickly as possible so I can
mm-hmm.
go do the thing, and do the thing
Exactly.
I'm passionate about, which is likely not AI back end, running
Yeah.
my business on Notion or whatever.
I have a woman who was a former client and she had someone else build her an Airtable automation magic thing. She is paranoid. Anytime when she was my client, we'd have to go into her Airtable. She's like, oh my gosh, don't break it. Because if you break it, my entire business breaks and I don't know how to fix it. She had no idea. And I'm not faulting her, but I mean, the idea being like, she was so dependent on that automation, still is to an extent. And that woman charged her an arm and a leg and built it. And then poof, she's gone.
Yeah.
So like,
Can't have that.
I don't want anyone to ever feel that way about anything I ever build for them, which is why I refuse to build for.
Yeah, I love that. I love that philosophy. So, you still do your monthly webinars?
I do.
And how can people find those?
So, leadsmarterco.com/webinar is always the link to whatever the next webinar is that is coming up. So, I do them on Thursdays, technically every second Thursday, but it's summer. So, things get a little bit wonky. So it's either the second Thursday or the third Thursday of the month until we get back into the school year. But my whole thing is I teach you not just what's possible, but I give you like the practical. I'm not going to give you like the detailed intellectual property, of course, but I'm going to make it so that if you want to DIY it, you have enough information that you could. And if you don't want to DIY it, you know what I can teach.
And what's the best way to get a hold of you if they want you to teach them?
They need to come to a webinar. They can find me on LinkedIn to follow me, connect with me. That is my main platform. Or they can just go to my website and, go around there. And then, of course, if they just want to find out what an absolute kook I am, they should sign up for my newsletter, The Caffeinated Entrepreneur.
And highly recommend.
Yeah, you can get to that. It's on my blog technically, but the newsletter, you get it in your inbox. And I forgot, I just launched a paid version of it. So on Thursdays, you get the story, you get the takeaways, you get the weekly challenge. But when you sign up for the paid version on Fridays, you get the AI prompt to implement the weekly challenge.
Ooh, I dig that. That is great.
Yeah. My very own sister, of course, sisters are so supportive. She did it. And she used the prompt that I sent out Friday and literally sent me a text message. And she's like, oh, gosh, it's incredible. And I was like, I know. Power of AI.
And lastly, second to last, tell us about your podcast.
Oh, okay. So the Caffeinated Entrepreneur podcast is behind the brew, quote, air quotes, if you're not watching, behind the brew of the newsletter. And so Bernie is my virtual events producer. He and I have known each other for 2 years at this point, and he is the yin to my yang. I am obviously very high energy. I am like go 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 go. Bernie is like calm and reserved, and like so we are the opposites, but we bounce off each other really really well. And so what we do every week is we choose an old issue that I did. So like the podcast that I'll be dropping here in the near future is the backstory and the expounding on the newsletter where I talked about raising a little entrepreneur. My 10-year-old son started his own bracelet making business in the 4th grade and like made legit money making bracelets in the 4th grade, ran the whole thing by himself for about a month until it fizzled out. But I wrote that newsletter. The newsletter was a big hit, got a big response. So we recorded a podcast episode where we talked about how as entrepreneurs, we're affecting the way our children view business. Do they want to run their own, or do they see us overworking and they hate it? How do we respond to failures? How do we celebrate success, right? How does us being an entrepreneur affect our children's desire to be a business owner? And so that's what the newsletter is. It's like taking that topic and going deeper.
So it's all different types of topics relating.
Yeah, it's literally past newsletters. All my newsletters are stories from my real life, my real business. And then the podcast is Bernie and I just basically going further with that topic. What does it look like in real life? When you have to walk away from your kid on their birthday to go update your website, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Put a fire out of some kind somewhere. Yeah. Well, Alison, thank you for re-recording the updated version of this episode that we started back in like January or February. It's been months. But again, we were so young then, so naive,
I know. You were just starting recording. Listen, you're a pro at this now.
This is going to be maybe episode 20. Who knew I had it in me to do something repetitive on a schedule for that long with my ADHD? brain. Who
For
knew?
you. Yeah.
So one last question for you. The most important question of all, cats or dogs?
Cats. And I said
And
it the first time, and you looked at me like that the first time. Listen, dogs are very high energy, and I'm very high energy. And like I said, I need the yin to my yang. Cats will just sit on your lap and like purr. And I'm like, I have to stay still because this cat is completely chilled on my lap right now. And if I move, it's going to claw me. So I'm just going to sit here, and it like forces me to relax.
So you're choosing something that can harm you as a pet. I mean, I guess a dog could harm you, but
But
not
probably
like,
not the same way. Yeah, no, I am.
no.
I've always been, no, though, however, my daughter's allergic and my husband hates cats. So we will never own one. I grew up with a
Okay,
cat.
I can work with that. I can work with that. Okay,
Yeah.
we can still be friends. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you again, Allison. This has been fantastic. I could talk to you forever. And I so appreciate you and your brain and your caffeinated self. And this has been an episode of Underestimated. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Underestimated, hosted by Shawna Suckow. To connect with Shawna, go to thebuyerinsider.com.